Hey, thanks for stopping by today. Hey, we've all heard of helicopter parents, those parents that kind of hover over their kids and make sure they're getting all the right opportunities and they doing all the right things to be in all the right places. Now, I could argue that Mordecai from the book of Esther was like a helicopter parent. He was more of a helicopter cousin, taking care of his cousin Esther, whose parents had died. Mordecai did everything he could to ensure Esther's safety and future. But when Esther got caught up in the king's search for a new queen, Mordecai lost some control. And he had to just wait for word to come from the king's palace as to what was happening with his cousin. Was she being treated right? Was she being treated fairly? Well, as it was, the king was very pleased with Esther, and he declared her to be his new queen. So, that's when we are introduced, rather, to Haman. Now, Haman comes into the story as the king's prime minister, but he is also the villain of the story. He was an enemy of the Jews as a descendant of a family that was supposed to be wiped out by King Saul. And he has it in particularly for Mordecai, who happens to be a descendant of King Saul. Now, when Haman got royal approval for a Jewish genocide, Mordecai pleaded with Esther, please do something to stop this. Go to the king, talk to the king. And she explained the rules to Mordecai. You just don't go to the king. The king has to call you. And I haven't been called in a long, long time. This is when Mordecai tells Esther that one of the reasons she may have been made queen was for this very moment. And so Esther has a choice to make. What am I going to do? Well, Esther sent this reply to Mordecai. Go gather together all the Jews who are in Susa and fast for me. Do not eat or drink for 3 days, night or day, and I and my attendants will fast as you do. And when this is done, I will go to the king, even though it is against the law. And if I perish, I perish. So Mordecai went away and carried out all of Esther's instructions. Now I want you to notice that right there. See, up to this point, Mordecai has been in charge. And now Esther gives a directive, and Mordecai is the one who's following her lead. Up to this point, Esther has been the student, and now for just a brief moment at least, Esther is giving the commands. And here's the thing. This was actually Mordecai honoring Esther and her courage. And by doing what she asked, he was saying, okay, we're following your lead. You know, it's our desire as a church to raise godly kids, but we don't want them just to grow up to be good people. We want them to grow up to be able to carry the church forward, to carry the mission of Jesus forward as the church. How are we preparing them to be those people who will take over the church? When will we hear their desires for the church and learn to follow their lead? I know they still have some growing up to do, right? But you know, we can help them by inviting them into the spaces where we are making decisions and maybe hear what they have to say. Sometimes we don't really think that that's really wise, but you know, maybe there's a good idea in there or two, even as we have wisdom and reasons for showing them why we do what we do. But they don't learn if they're not in the place where they can hear us and we can hear them. In the future, when they step into those roles of leading the church, if we've prepped them well, they will not only keep alive a legacy, but they will bring fresh energy and fresh vision and bring together the two in one place. This summer, we're hosting Brendan Sagastume as an intern here at Perk. And in his internship, he not only is observing how we're doing things, but in our meetings, we talk about, well, what do you see that could be done differently? And how might you do something different here? It's been a good conversation. This has been one way that the new generation of leaders gets a voice in the church. Well, as they grow, let's be prepared to follow their lead. As we encourage them to follow Jesus faithfully, let's be prepared to follow as they bring energy to the legacy that we've been given as a church. God bless you. I hope that you'll encourage a young person and be ready to follow their lead as God is leading them into ministry.